Brodes Media.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Brodes. So, over the last 7 days or so, there's been a bunch of more Sixers news. I know Shams had a couple of hits on ESPN. Podcast P decided to put a pause on his show to focus more on this playoff run. Honestly, that is so disrespectful. It's not funny. It's not funny. It actually makes me want to punch myself in the face for even thinking that I'd consider putting up with the Paul George contract. It's gross. And we also have a win against the Golden State Warriors to break down. I'm not worried about winning games, okay? And this being a big problem with the lottery balls and this and that. I saw that reaction after Grimes dropped 40 plus. Oh, please with the winning. We're going to screw up all the percentages and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to lose every game. You're not going to lose every single basketball game the rest of the way. How many times throughout the years where we were winning 50-plus games where we'd lose on the road to Washington and say, what the fuck? How did you do that? Well, it just happens. You know how you do that? One of your nobodies goes off for 40-plus points. That's how you do it. You didn't win because Maxey was kicking ass. You didn't win because, you know, superstars were superstarring and they found a way to have consistent success, right? Which is now going to ruin all of the losing for the backstretch of the season. No. You need Grimes to score 50 plus to win games consistently with that particular style. Yeah, you'll be okay. I promise you'll be okay. We're going to dive into all this action, but first, I got to tell you about my friends over at Green Lawn Fertilizing. My wife and I decided it's time, okay? We don't have to be the one house in the cul-de-sac that doesn't have their shit together. When I tell you Green Lawn Fertilizing is the best in the business, and they've actually created a custom blend that will have your lawn recovering from the drought that we had last year. It is so spectacular that I drop in awe whenever I see their beautiful work. They are based in Philly and best in the market. They're experts in New Jersey, NPA, and extremely knowledgeable. The first round is super important to lay the groundwork for the rest of the season, so they want people starting now. They are offering, listen to this, 2 free treatments plus 10% off for the early birds. Green Lawn Fertilizing officially started treating lawns Monday. So, hold on. I'm doing the math here. I'm recording this Sunday night. Monday! So for them, spring is here. Make sure you check out the link in the description, which will take you right to their website through my link, Brodes. It'll tell them that I sent you. Listen up, fellas, ladies, gentlemen. It's that time of the year to make sure your lawn is looking gorgeous. Green Lawn Fertilizing is the way to go. All right, so let's look here at the ESPN piece from Shams reporting on ABC NBA Countdown where the 76ers are, where the big man is, and how they are looking towards long-term health. Take a listen.
You broke the news yesterday, Shams, that Embiid has been ruled out for the rest of the regular season. How ultimately was this decision made?
Malika, this all came to a head over the last couple of weeks. Specifically, when I'm told Joel Embiid went directly to 76ers owner Josh Harris about the state of his knee and about where the realization he's at with what's in the best interest of him, the organization, as far as a potential shutdown. Because remember, Josh Harris owes Joel Embiid up to $300 million over the next 5 seasons. So the backdrop to all this is that over the last month, we've seen fundamental differences between Joel Embiid and the 76ers as far as Embiid believing that he needs a different treatment approach for this versus the 76ers feeling you play on it, get in better condition, and you could continue on this year. This has been a situation the 76ers have been dealing with all season, and they've managed the swelling in multiple different ways, including injections monthly, just to get him on the court. But here they are in lockstep. This is all about getting Joel Embiid back on the court in the best sustainable way, and they are in lockstep about that.
Wow.
All right, so a few things there, and it started off with Joel Embiid went right to the ownership group, went right to Joshua Harris to discuss how he's not thrilled with how everything's been handled. And look, this has been a gruesome process. You know how we keep banging on the table saying, give us info. Will you please let us know what at least is going on so we can have some idea? I don't know if anybody knows. And I'm saying that in a world where they are talking to 10 billion different doctors. They are getting 75 billion different responses. And then maybe with some of the potential routes they can go, it may not have a high percentage to even work. So what is the risk? And should they even go into the knee if there's only, and I'm just making up numbers just to sell the story here, but hey, if we do this to your meniscus, you have an 8% chance. Well, I have a 92% chance that this thing is going to fail. At that point, is it worth my body going through this? And then, some are saying you could do this. Some are saying you can do that. Some are saying rest. Some are saying play on it. Here's what I think is happening. I think they're not getting clear answers from so many different professionals in the industry. And when that's the case, Embiid probably then has to go to the top dog and start talking about this. Another thing that hits me, and look, I don't think Embiid's wrong to do that. I'm sure he's frustrated. Listen, I could only imagine what's being done behind closed doors to try and figure out this knee. You can call Embiid soft. You can call Embiid this and that. But the truth is, history says he's willing to get back on that floor and fight through pain. He's willing to probably get back on the floor too early at times. But you go through a meniscus surgery, the playoff start, he's right back in the action. He gets knocked in the face. He breaks his orbital bone a bunch of times. He needs surgery on both of his hands. Trust me, he is willing to leave it all on the floor. So if there was an obvious answer, hey, Joel, you get this done, you can play basketball at a high level again, most likely that's already finished, completed, and Embiid is back on the floor if it was as simple as that. So I'm sure there is so much frustration, so much sadness, so much this, so much that. And that's not to say Embiid has played this perfectly, because I don't know if he has, quite frankly. And knowing what we know about Joel Embiid, yeah, there's probably things that when you look back in history, maybe if he handled the Shirley Temples or handled the Chick-fil-A milkshakes and maybe did certain things in the offseason, maybe there would be a better result in the postseason to gear up his body properly. But then there's also a part of me that says, here's a 7-foot human being that runs up and down the floor to be the anchor defensively and to be an anchor offensively. And he's a superstar scoring 35, 36, 37 points per game. He drops 70. He fucks up Wemby one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? I can give you a ton of different examples of big men that just unfortunately their body breaks down and there's not much you can do about it. Even if an offseason was different 4 years ago. Maybe there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe this was just how the Joel Embiid experience was always going to go, considering it's not normal for someone that heavy and that tall to put that amount of strain on his legs, jumping up and down nonstop 24/7. So it's very conflicted feelings for me in that regard. But one of the things I think about when I hear that comment, and you're about to hear one from Stephen A. Smith as well, that's fascinating, more about the general manager, Daryl Morey, or I'm sorry, president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey. But I think, who leaked this? Well, that's a Joel Embiid camp leak, right? I think Joel Embiid and his team and his camp wanted the public to know. I want to figure out the long term here. Our goals are in lockstep, that the idea and the concept is to be able to put that uniform on and go compete for my brothers and for the Sixers again. But it's at the point now where I'm not necessarily sure I'm in love with all the information I'm getting from the Sixers. I'm not necessarily embracing all the information I'm getting from certain partners with the team. And I have to go a step further and talk to the owner. That screams Joel Embiid wanted that to be known, that that's where it is. That I'm not necessarily trusting some of the data and some of the potential ideas the Sixers are handing me. This is probably such a sticky situation, though. I'm trying to find the best way to lay this out, but again, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself. I don't think it's as simple as you go into the doctor's office, they give you a standard surgery, and then you just go play basketball again. I think it's gotten to the point where it's such an unknown, it's such a question mark. I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like, well, yeah, we're not going to like any of it, truth be told, because none of it is good. At the end of the day, I think the best days of Joel Embiid and the operating from the nail and being a force by the rim and defending guards out by the perimeter and stopping 1 through 5, defending every position. I think those days are long gone. And considering how much money he's about to get paid and the extension kicking in, that's a serious issue. Big time. So that's from the camp of Joel, in my eyes. Now let's listen to Stephen A. Smith on NBA Countdown. This was on March 1st. And this is more about Daryl Morey and the front office side of things. Here we go.
There are rumors that owner Josh Harris was very reluctant to sign Joel Embiid to this extension. And Daryl Morey was the one who said, we got to do it. If that's the truth, Daryl Morey is in a world of trouble. And I would remind everybody, Josh Harris doesn't only own an NBA team. He owns an NFL team. Why do I bring that up? Who's his partner? Who's one of his minority owners? Just somebody that happens to be a 5-time champion and the greatest point guard in the history of basketball. What you think? All he's doing is sitting there talking to him about the Commanders. You trying to tell me Josh Harris, a billionaire who purchased an NFL franchise for over $6 billion, has Magic Johnson sitting next to him, and they're going to ask him a question about basketball? Josh Harris has asked me about basketball. So there's no way he has Magic Johnson next to him and ain't asking him.
All right, so there's that. And he continues. There's even a longer version of him talking about that, and I thought I had it bookmarked, but anyway, it's not really that important. The moral of the story here with that is, okay, so now you're getting the Sixers side of things throwing Daryl Morey under the bus. Hey, the owner didn't want to do it. The owner was actually reluctant to sign the big man to all this dough. It was Daryl Morey who was going on a limb. I even got Magic Johnson on my side, who's willing to talk to me and tell me things and share knowledge with me about the game of hoops. Daryl Morey fucked this up. Daryl Morey screwed this up. Daryl Morey's the one to push the wrong buttons. Who do you think put that out to Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith openly admits Joshua Harris talks to him about hoops. Where do you think he got that information from? Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Joshua Harris. That's Joshua Harris feeding that to Stephen A., throwing Daryl Morey under the bus. We're now in he said, she said, drama land, national media, utilizing some of these words and, painting stories from each side of the camp. This is the truth when it gets to this point. Seems like a breakup's inevitable. These are steps in the direction for I don't want to be here anymore type of meeting, which may end up being a blessing in disguise when it's all said and done, because it's pretty clear this organization needs a facelift and needs to head into a completely different direction. So if it is Magic Johnson whispering in Joshua Harris's ear about Daryl Morey not being great and going the Bob Myers route or getting someone new in here to make change, that's fair. That's good, I'm sure. Yay. But that's a weird spot right now for us as Sixers fans to know that this could be getting new faces, right? This whole Sixers thing could be getting new faces, kicking Daryl Morey out, and I'm still going, blah. I hate them so much, whatever. It's bad. I've been around a lot of things in this sports world, unfortunately, that are very sour, that have been extremely piss poor, and it's very difficult to slither through an 82-game season when that's the case. As much as the Flyers are technically headed in the right direction in this rebuild, they have pieces, this and that. Listen, I want the fucking playoffs. I want to see at least a chance to compete and play meaningful hockey, damn it, right? It's not always fun. This is as bad as you could ever imagine. You could have painted a picture where this season went wrong, and I don't think it would be this bad. It's at the point where Podcast P, when they're 16 games under 500, 56 games into the season, publicly puts out a video clip saying he's going to now start focusing on the game instead of his show. Which, by the way, is implying that your 2-hour weekly, I think it's weekly, I don't pay too much attention to it, but even if it's 2 times a week, 1 time a week, whatever it is, that stopped you from maximizing your skill set. You feel obligated to remove yourself from the problem. Well, that's implying that that's been a problem. Your 1 show, 2 shows a week over your NBA job, I find that very hard to believe. But anyway, I want to tie a bow on the what's next side of this. I think it's obviously 2 people who are in a relationship who are very unhappy. Joel is claiming he doesn't believe what the Sixers side is telling them from a medical staff standpoint. And now you got the ownership group screaming at Daryl Morey, which, by the way, is also a bad look because now it's saying Joshua Harris, the owner, didn't want to give Joel, the guy who signed here for a long time and injured, at all. Which I don't even know if I buy that. Ultimately, when it's that big of a deal, guess what? The owner has major say. Major say. And if Daryl Morey convinced you that quickly and that easily, then look in the damn mirror, bud. That's what you got to do, Joshua. Matt Klentak was the GM at the time when the Phillies signed Bryce Harper. John Middleton signed Bryce Harper. When it's $330 million, when it's the big boys, when it's the big time money guys, guess what? Steve Cohen signed Juan Soto. It's no president of baseball ops. It's no GM. Steve Cohen. When you think of an extension for a superstar in Joel Embiid, if it's not going through ownership as the last step, then shame on you. And if you got walked all over, then again, shame on you. But I think it's a bad look now that Joshua Harris all of a sudden is letting it known publicly. I didn't want to do this. But unless that's all part of the tactic, maybe that helps Joel Embiid get out of here quicker. Because if Joel Embiid starts demanding trades happen. Whether you don't think someone would trade for him or not, trades happen. Jimmy Butler pretty much spit in Pat Riley's face. Who would ever want to deal with somebody who would spit in Pat Riley's face? The Golden State Warriors. Is this a mental tactic to almost push Joel Embiid out the door? Wanting to get him upset to get out of this contract. Not saying that's right. And I'm probably giving Joshua Harris way too much credit because I don't know if he's that smart. But there's that. We are definitely headed towards a divorce. That I know. All right, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this by this point. But here's Paul George saying he's going to take a break from his show. Oh, it's comedy.
Fellas, it's no secret. This season is up to this point, man. It hasn't been what we envisioned. I know my goal when I first signed with Philadelphia was to bring a championship to these amazing fans here. I still remain positive about that, and that is still the case and where I'm coming from. With that being said, though, I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship. I won't front. The desire to get back to shooting in person with my guys as well is the forefront of, this hiatus as well. I look forward to us three being back together and doing this as we once started this. So we'll be back on that note. Be sure to lock in with us because we got some big things in store in our future. In the meantime, y'all be easy. From Podcast P, love and peace.
It's so hypocritical to start off by mentioning how much he really wants to focus on the craft to make a push. Right? Let's make a push with this team, with that egregious record, and without Joel. And then he goes, I'm not going to front. Actually, I just want to be with my guys in person the way this was intended to be. It's not about basketball. It's not about basketball. And I also wonder, too, all right, if Embiid shut down, is Paul George next? Are they going to limit Paul George's minutes? Are they going to ask him not to play? Are they going to sit him down and rest him the rest of the way? Because they lose games with him. He stinks that much. But, just in theory, if they know that he's going to spend some time on the bench in street clothes, maybe Tyrese Maxey inevitably gets there too, he doesn't want to address it. Is part of this he doesn't want to address it anymore and doesn't want to feel obligated to talk about this mess? So he said, you know what, let me just wait until the offseason. I'll get back with my guys, and then I'll focus on it. The whole thing at the end is, I just want to be with my boys. That's really why I'm making this decision. It's so bad. It's so bad. Now, this is what I'm trying to figure out from the Paul George stuff. I know he doesn't care. I know he wanted to be in LA. He wanted to be a Clipper. His mind was not to be in Philadelphia until he chased the bag. Can he play, though? And Clippers fans will say, I told you so. And normally that's how it goes, because you talk yourself into Paul George needing to play a different role here. Joel's the superstar. Maxey's a stud. It's a wing player. Tobias was also our previous alternative. So, you talk yourself into how great this could be. And it was a different usage in LA in a way based off of the personnel. So you have that. He went from 24-ish, 25-ish points per game to about 16. So it's pretty devastating that it's that much of a dip. Is it that much of a dip because he truly doesn't give a damn about Philadelphia and playing for the Sixers, and he actually has another gear in him? Not that gear would be what we ever want him to be, but does he have more than this? And it's just a lack of effort and doesn't care? And if that's the case, maybe you can move off that contract. If it's not the case, it makes it more difficult. But, if you pick up the phone, whoever the next president's going to be, because it seems Daryl Morey will be out of here, rightfully so. I hope Nick Nurse follows. And you go, listen, this guy could play. He just doesn't really care about us. He's made it clear he'll put in the work for you. But us, nah, he didn't love it. His heart wasn't here. But Paul George can still do his thing. I don't know. Is it just because of the injuries? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. That's all. I'm driving myself crazy trying to do it. I'm driving myself crazy without a beer in my hands right now. That's right. I wish I had a garage beer. DrinkGarageBeer.com. It's the best beer on planet Earth. Don't worry about IPA. No IPA. It's 100% light beer. It's 1,000% quality. Garage beer is the best beer. When you walk into a party and you got a case of garage beer on your shoulders and all the women go, damn, I need a piece of that guy. You'd say, Brodes, thank you. That's what you'd be saying. Brodes, you're the man. I appreciate all your help. That's what I do. I'm a man of the people. DrinkGarageBeer.com. All right, let's take a couple anytime hotline calls, shall we? Let's run to your phone calls.
Brodes, what the Sixers have been doing to Joel Embiid this season is just absolutely borderline criminal. Like, if I'm the commissioner of the NBA, I'm forcing the Sixers to fire everyone involved. I'm fining the organization. There's no way this team is getting that top 6 pick. Like, it is just such an embarrassment. This is full on Cleveland Browns. But we got to move forward from this. We have to move on. And it's all going to depend on whether that top 6 pick is coming to Philadelphia, because if it's not, you got to just get rid of everyone and just completely start over. If you get a top 6 pick, I'm willing to buy in to maybe getting a young player that fits your timeline, and you can kind of ride this out, kind of have Maxie McCain, someone else, Yabusele. I'm willing to ride that out, but you got to fire Daryl Morey. The NBA is not giving a top 6 pick when the NBA knows the Sixers are going to be screwed if they get it. They're not giving that to the general manager who costs them millions of dollars and is the entire reason why the play-in exists. They don't like that guy. They're not giving it to him. And, you know, the Sixers, my advice, if for like anything, for GM, head coach, anything, just call the freaking Celtics. Call the team that freaking owns us for the past 50 freaking years. I don't know, man.
All right, listen, I appreciate the call. I can hear the frustration, even the sigh at the end. A few things. I know rigged stuff happens in sports, this and that. I don't think that there are meetings happening right now inside the NBA league circles with the commissioner of the league, and they're saying, yeah, guess what? The Sixers aren't doing it. The Sixers aren't getting it. The Sixers aren't this. The Sixers aren't that. I don't think that's some evil plan where they're going to manipulate everything so the Sixers don't get it. I don't think that's the case because of Daryl Morey. Quite frankly, the Sixers being good helps the NBA. It's like the whole thing with the Cowboys and, you know, it's like, well, the NFL is screwing the Cowboys. Well, you don't think the NFL wants the Cowboys to be good. The NFL wants the Cowboys to be good. They're not going out of their way to hurt the Dallas Cowboys. I think they want them deep down to be good because it's good for the league and good for ratings. The Sixers being good is a very huge market for the NBA, especially with the Celtics being a powerhouse in the Eastern Conference. That's a huge rivalry. The Knicks are now good. You got Boston, New York, Philadelphia. And that doesn't mean they're going to sway the ping pong balls to hand over the number 6 pick protected to the Sixers. I don't think they go into this with this crazy mindset of we're screwing them, we're screwing this, we're screwing that. Even though at times the sports world and the sports scenes make me want my eyes to bleed in a way, if that all makes sense. So I don't think they're going to go out of their way to screw the Sixers on this for any specific reason. With that, you know, like making the Sixers fire everyone for screwing over Embiid. Again, I don't know how much of this is the Sixers being... Just because Embiid doesn't like the news they're getting from the Sixers doesn't mean the Sixers are wrong in this particular case. And I'm not telling you I want to go and put my life being dependent on the Sixers medical staff by any means. But this is something where there has been so many top-tier, top-notch doctors. Who's the guy that does all the Achilles? Aaron Rodgers got his Achilles done. Someone else got... I don't know his last name, but I know what it sounds like in my head, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. But there's the famous doctor who does all the... Dr. Arbitros or something like that, or around that range or so. This is the level of doctors that are being talked to outside of the Sixers medical team, and there's still zero answers. So at some point, I do think that this particular case with this big man, and after everything he's already been through and the stress that has been on his body and his knees, I can't point my fingers at the Sixers and say you're wrong at this case, because there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 real experts outside of the Sixers that Joel Embiid and his team communicate with, and this and that. And I'm sure even the Sixers, I'm sure this is one big group effort. It has to be on that knee. And then also think, right, he does Team USA. And this isn't about should he not play in the Olympics. There's doctors there too. He's just playing on it, meniscus surgery, this and that. So if the Sixers feel there's not much we can do here, it's about pain tolerance, getting injections, the fluid, not swelling, this and that. And that's how the Sixers feel. Team USA doctors, go play, go ahead, have at it. You know what I'm saying here? So the last thing I want to do is go down on the hill of Sixers medical team is always right. But this is a very one-off case, or just a few random cases in the NBA type deal.
Brodes, this is about the Sixers if we ever get a Sixers podcast again. I have really depressing news. I have not watched a single game.
Wow.
This year.
Wow.
When the last 4 or 5 years combined, I never missed one.
Wow.
That's how apathetic. I knew they were going to be. I called you in. You actually used my call before, and you said you would hope that Paul George would be something, when I said that he is literally just a worse off James Harden with knee issues and comes up small in big games.
James Harden's good.
And I'm glad that you said that you thought he might do something, but inevitably he was a joke of a signing. Knew that from the rip. But they're becoming Flyers and Phillies territory for me. For 5-6 years, I'd never watched the Phillies. Right when we signed like Hunter Pence and stuff like that, wasn't watching them. And the Flyers I never watched because I'm not that big into hockey, but I do root for them to win. But they haven't inspired me to watch them. And I was 10 when they were actually halfway decent in 2010. So I can't sit there and say that I would watch them religiously. They're getting on that territory for me, where Eagles is the only thing I care about, because the Phillies and the hockey is in the same direction. At least I feel a little bit better about the Flyers. I don't know, Brodes. The Sixers we gotta restart the process.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I don't even want, that's the issue, is the title, the process, this and that. I don't want any name to be a description of what they're trying to do. But now, if they were to lose, it's automatically going to be tied back to that forever. It's going to have that, it's like the Flyers can't escape the Broad Street bullies. The process is always, because if they want to restart, well, then it's automatically a process again. Automatically, just organically tied to that phrase, and that's going to be rough. But yeah, I do think they have to restart this thing. Now, the previous caller said if they don't get the 6th overall pick, then you have to, or, the top protected pick, you have to kind of blow this thing up. But if not, then you're more, no, it's got to change no matter what. Because you're right, this apathy, I don't even think apathy does it right anymore. It's a whole new world of disappointment from this fan base. A whole new world. It's reached worse than apathy. So I do agree with you there. But yeah, James Harden's the best player out of Embiid, Paul George, and all the guys. I mean, even better than Maxey. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, James Harden's career is, Tyrese Maxey would dream of having that type of career. And that's no knock on Tyrese Maxey. I'm saying James Harden's career. You ask a point guard, would you want, and I know he started out more of a shooting guard, 6-man, the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, James Harden's the best of them all. And it kind of is what it is at this point. Ben Simmons, James Harden, Markelle Fultz. It's James Harden. The irony. The irony. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you guys all so much for kicking it with me. I love you to death. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the greatest. And I will talk to you all on the next one. Go Birds!